Today we're talking about the 5 fears that are keeping you poor.
Poor isn't a financial status, it's a mindset. Poor keeps you from growing as a person.
Fear is the strongest emotion keeping people poor today. Let us explain.
Fear is the emotion evoked when we think something is dangerous or could potentially cause us pain. Fear is a strong tool that can be utilized to either bring you up or keep you down.
A lot of us live with fear without even realizing it. Like when we find something is going to affect our financial well-being, we become very fearful.
Sometimes fear is rational and should be listened to. Other times, we let fear control our decisions in a way that stops us from growing and expanding. Today, we want to discuss a few different fears you should keep an eye out for in your life. Let's start by talking about the fear of rejection.
We all know that feeling when you get a call saying that you didn't get the job, and you get that turning feeling in your gut, and then it lingers for a few minutes.
The next time you go into an interview, you already have that gut feeling before you even had the interview. This fear drives you to overthink and not reach your full potential.
This rejection leads to a positive feedback loop. The rejection leads to the fear of rejection. The fear of rejection leads to overthinking and underperforming, which leads to more rejection.
This positive feedback loop continues until you recognize that your fear is the root of rejection. By recognizing this fact, you move one step closer to utilizing your fear as a tool for success and not failure. The fear of rejection is closely tied to the fear of failure.
We often correlate our personal self-image with our success in life. Thus, by failing, we're lowering our self-image and our emotional capacity.
The fear of failure ultimately leads us to becoming complacent. We tell ourselves we can't fail if we never try. Coincidentally, this comfort zone leads to a worse self-image because we know we aren't reaching our full potential.
Just like the fear of rejection, this creates a negative feedback loop that ultimately leads to us not succeeding and feeling ourselves dwindling down till there's almost nothing.
Staying in our comfort zone allows us to not face the growing pain and judgment needed to reach success.
Judgment of others, that leads us to our next fear, the fear of judgment.
Too often, we let other people's opinions matter more than our own. We let their thoughts dictate what we think of ourselves, when it should be the other way around.
It's important to acknowledge that no matter what your success is, there will always be somebody passing on negative judgment about you and your success.
We must not let other people's opinions dictate our personal self-image and inhibiting us from becoming the best version of ourselves.
If we do, we risk letting them cap our success. Let's talk about other people's success and the fear of missing out.
Sometimes when we see someone who is successful in their field, we begin to think if we can be even more successful in the same career.
This leads to us losing focus of our own path, jumping around from job to job, and ultimately going to the new hottest trend and never getting past the initial steps.
We lose focus of specialization and fail to ever reach higher levels of success in our own craft. If we constantly fear on missing out on other people's success, how can we ever succeed on our own?
Instead, let's celebrate and encourage other people's success while working alongside them to reach our own success.
We want to wrap up with what is perhaps the greatest fear of them all, the fear of change.
Change is necessary, and we all know that, but it's easier said than done. Change always leads to unease and bumps in the road.
No matter if the change ends up being positive or negative, there's always a lesson to be learned. The lessons we take from these changes always help us grow into better versions of ourselves.
Change requires action, and without it, we'll stay the same forever, never truly reaching our full potential.
Just like the other fears on this list, we need to accept change as a necessary step to growth. Growing pains and bumps in the road are temporary, but ultimately necessary for our own success.
Hopefully you can recognize where fear is controlling you in your life, and you can allow this fear to now lead you to more success.
If you guys have any questions, please reach out to us at pursuitofproperty@gmail.com. We'd love to answer any questions, comments, or concerns that you have.